If you're watching this video, you're here and you're going to learn what the difference is between preterm labor, its importance, and the difference between that and when labor is actually getting going and when you should start thinking about going to the hospital or contacting your midwife. Depending on your care provider, this number might change. However, us birth workers, we like to refer to 511 as the numbers to look at when trying to consider when you should be going into the hospital or birth center, when you should be contacting your OB or your labor team. So the number that I'm going to tell is 511. So what that means is that your contractions are lasting about 5 minutes apart from each other. They're lasting for a whole minute, and this pattern has been going on for at least an hour. Now, the reason why I say that it depends on your care provider is because depending on how far away you are from the hospital, from the birth center, or how far your midwife is from you, if they're coming to you for a home birth, then they might want you to contact them before the 511 rule and might be looking at something like 611 or 711, and the only difference with that is how early they want to know about your labor patterns. So are they wanting to know when your contractions are 5 minutes apart, 6 minutes apart, or 7 minutes apart? The biggest thing with this that you need to pay attention to is that whatever the pattern is, your contractions are lasting a minute long from the beginning to the end of the contraction, and that the pattern that you're watching is at least an hour that it's been going on. That's how you can tell that things are actually going to be progressing and it's not going to taper off. Little part that I want to add in here is that it's not a one size fits all. So if you're feeling like, okay, these feel intense, but they're not lasting a full minute. Sometimes it's 30 seconds, sometimes it's 45 seconds, sometimes it's a minute. It's kind of all over the place in the last hour, but you're feeling like the intensity is still rising, you're still feeling a change, you're feeling a lot of back pressure. If you're feeling uncomfortable and if you're feeling like you want to be checked, there's absolutely nothing wrong with contacting your care provider and getting checked out anyways. And it's really, really important that you follow your gut with that and with your instincts, because I've had a lot of clients in the past that have been told by their care providers, well, don't contact me until it's this specific pattern, and that pattern just doesn't come. And then because everybody is different, it's just really important to know that. So even if they are not lasting a whole minute, or maybe the pattern is getting closer together before it's been an hour, you need to follow your instincts on this. So if you feel like it's time to contact your care provider, then it's never too early to do so if that's what you feel most comfortable doing. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of things that you might be kind of waiting for that might not always happen. So just things to pay attention to when you're trying to figure out whether or not labor is coming, signs of labor. A lot of the movies and shows that we watch show water breaking in a dramatic way and then labor starting. And that doesn't always happen. It's actually only about 10% of women that the water breaks before labor actually starts. So if you're waiting for your water to break to be like, this is a clear sign that I'm in labor, then do not pay attention to that, because that is not going to be the indicator for everybody whether or not labor is actually starting. So you have to pay attention to your body and look for other cues other than just your water breaking. If you're experiencing contractions that are kind of all over the place and it doesn't have a particular pattern and it's not something that's being timed, that's not really timeable, this is probably pre-labor stages where you're feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling the tightenings. It might feel similar to Braxton Hicks, but it might be a little bit more uncomfortable, because for some people, Braxton Hicks, they don't feel anything at all, but for others, they actually start to feel the intensity of the Braxton Hicks type contractions getting a little bit more regulated and just a little bit more uncomfortable. This could be an indicator of early labor. So the thing with early labor, though, is that this can go on for a couple of hours, this can go on for a couple of days, and it could actually go on for a few weeks. As your body is getting ready for birth, which is a huge marathon, it's going to need to do and go through every little stage. You have to go from 0 to 10 centimeters. You don't want to just go from 0 to 10 really quickly like that. So it's important to let your body do the work, allow yourself to rest, allow yourself to make sure that you're eating good nutrition, that you're staying hydrated, that you're getting enough rest, so that if you're having those discomforts that are not timeable, that you're allowing your body to just have the energy to produce those better contractions and to get your body fully in gear before the big marathon. If you suspect that you might be in early labor and you're feeling these discomforts and it's not really going away, but you're not sure, what you could always do is try to take a shower, try to take a bath, make sure that you're staying hydrated, because in the later stages of pregnancy, if you are dehydrated, you will be getting cramps. So the thing with labor is that if labor is actually coming on and it's not false labor, or if it's not early labor that might come and taper off and come and taper off, then taking a shower, taking a bath, or drinking more water, these things are not going to stop these contractions from coming. So that's the way that you can kind of tell the difference. If you get into the shower and the discomforts kind of go away, or if you are drinking more water and they go away, then that's a good indicator that my body is doing its work, it's getting ready, but it's not time yet. And it's important not to get discouraged by that, because your body is doing an incredible thing. It's trying to time itself perfectly, and you just need to give yourself that patience. Something that I want you to be paying attention to during this time, if it's pre-labor, is, you're feeling for your baby to be moving around. You're wanting to make sure that you're getting your movements in, that you're feeling the kicks. And you might feel a lot more movement than normal during this stage because baby's getting their head positioned just right, and that's totally normal. If your baby's kind of chilling out a little bit more as well, as long as you're getting those kicks, it's not anything to be worried about. The other thing with that is a lot of people think like this is where they get like that I want to clean, like they get that nesting instinct where they're on their hands and knees and they're cleaning up the floors and they're doing all these things. And if your house is a disaster and you actually feel like you have to do that, then fine. But I try to get my clients to relax during early labor because, like I said, I consider birth to be a marathon, and you don't want to exhaust yourself before the day comes. So if you are taking the whole day and you're pacing around and you're cleaning your whole house and you're mopping and you're on your hands and knees and you're cleaning your floor and then you go for a walk around the block, like activity is fantastic. But if it's coming from a place of just trying to get things moving along, your energy could be much better used to you later when your body actually kicks into labor, because you're going to need that energy. So just be mindful of that. So if you're able to keep yourself comfortable and at home for as long as possible, that's great. So moving into active labor and how we can tell that we're actually in labor when it's time to go to the hospital. So this is when your contractions are not going to be able to be ignored. You're without even timing them. And that's why I try to tell my clients that you don't have to time your contractions when you're starting to feel them, because when they are actually at a point that you can't ignore them, that's when you're going to start to pay attention to them. It's not going to be like you're feeling for it and you're waiting for it and you're anticipating it, you're waiting. It's going to be a lot more, this is happening, I can feel things, and I've been doing other things and trying to be distracted, and I'm not keeping my focus only on this, and I can tell that these contractions are getting stronger, and I feel like they're becoming more regulated. So at this point, you're going to time them, and when you're noticing that they're 5 minutes apart or 6 minutes apart, that's when you'd be wanting to go in. This is going to be when your contractions are more uncomfortable. That's when, like I said, you're going to have, they're more frequent, they're lasting longer, and the pattern has been going on for an increased amount of time. So ideally, again, you want to get to 6 minutes apart or 5 minutes apart, lasting for a minute, and that pattern's been going on for at least an hour. So that's when you're going to want to go into the hospital, or when you're going to be wanting to contact your care provider to let them know that things are moving along. So just as a recap, if you're feeling contractions that are not particularly strong, they're not growing in intensity, and they're not really that lengthy yet, then you might be experiencing early labor, which is also prodrominal labor, or sometimes could even be mistaken for false labor. And like, these things are just not anything that you want to be upset about. This just means that the process is indeed starting. So, you have to trust your body and trust the process, and it is going to be coming. You need to rest during this time and just get ready for what's coming. You're looking for that 5-1-1 pattern. You're looking for 5 minutes apart, lasting at least a minute, and that's been going on for at least an hour. Regardless of whatever stage of labor you're in, take a deep breath and smile, because you are going to be meeting the newest love of your life very soon. I'm Meg Davey, and I am the owner of The Nurtured Journey. If you are looking for any more information or coaching during the birthing process, then feel free to reach out. I have my links below.